I think, just to maybe take a step back here, just to add more color to the story. Me and my family, we are Turkish and EU citizens, so we do have options. And along the journey, we did at every point consider those options as well. But specifically for my field in biotechnology, there's just so much work opportunities here in the US that that was the main driver of our decision to stay here. And I think that's again um, um, when you sort of when you think about the scale of what you could achieve in this market, this job market at this specific time, it's just immense. And that's true for me and maybe for my wife as well. But also thinking about our children and giving them the opportunity to be exposed to those opportunities in the future. Those were the main drivers for us. Um, and starting from there, of course, it now feels I feel more genuine and more free in terms of defining and searching for what I want to do next. Because there are different ways to search for a job or try to build a business where one option is you're tied to one specific employer or a sponsor, and that's really narrows down your options, your narrows down what you want to achieve in the future. But also, things happen in business life. Businesses, they thrive, they go down, they close. Um, and when you are reliant on a specific company, I think there is just this really uncomfortable dynamic there that that is kind of unhealthy both for the employer and the employee itself. So when you actually uh, achieve that, self-petition permanent resident status, then you have your options open for you and your family, from an education perspective, from a job perspective. And so the way we feel about it is right now, it wasn't an easy journey. It was tough. And maybe, we might want to elaborate a bit on that too. But right now, we're in a good place. Things are moving in the right direction. And at the end of today, we will be able to really establish or achieve or fulfill ourselves, uh, regardless of our immigration status. Because along this journey, I did interview with a number of companies and did receive a number of job offers. But I think the visa sponsorship bit was always a limiting factor, not only in terms of the company's abilities to do that and willingness to do that, but also obtaining a work permit is usually challenging, depending on the path you choose. There are many limitations. There are certain calendars you need to follow. So being free from all of that and just being able to focus on what you want to do, how you want to earn your income, and how you want to live happily. That's really the biggest benefit out of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that freedom of choice at the end of the day matters quite a lot, because you're right in the sense that you kind of have a more privileged position as an EU citizen, and maybe the ability to kind of look at some various international options that those, for example, there's quite a large number of individuals that are in visa backlogs from China and India, and it's almost become a situation where they're kind of serving for a company, and really it's a big risk to change jobs. And those companies are really benefiting from the control that they have over folks to their own personal detriment. And I think that's one of the reasons why the EB1A can be such a powerful tool to overcome that, kind of servitude that they have with their corporation or company. So just from a practical perspective, in your situation, we mentioned earlier that there were no, publications or citations, and that you were very open that, look, I don't have a PhD, but, I have worked in, kind of this, product development side of business, and I've created some methodologies that have proven successful. So just in terms of the specifics and what allowed you to be recognized as being among the foremost experts within your specific field, what sort of practical kind of lessons do we draw from your experience?
I think maybe just reflecting back on your previous statement, yes, not in my case, luckily, but I did hear from a lot of friends about how their sponsored employment relationship with their employer sort of really ruined their lives. I heard so many stories about that. I wasn't one of them, luckily, but I think that's a fact. Coming back to your question, I think if I had known that I was going to pursue this path, let's say 10 years ago, what would I have done differently? Probably not much, because as I believe, that the story is already there, and I'm saying this in the light of the conversations I had with other attorneys, where which ended up like, okay, now it's you need like maybe 6 months or a year to go back and work on your resume and maybe do a couple of publications, be featured in these magazines, and then come back. I mean, that's I think that sounds really artificial, and that's really, I think, downplays my achievements, or whoever the applicant is, their achievements as a professional. But what I would say in contrast would be, if you are thinking about pursuing this kind of path, and what you want to do is really document your work, keep good record of what you have achieved, both in the public domain as well as in other ways. Of course, many of us are tied to certain non-disclosure agreements or other regulations, but those are not really, I think, bars to how we can document our work. And I think the main takeaway would be, think about this, think about how you would want to feature this work, and think about how you can keep a good record of what you have achieved.
Exactly. And you're right in the sense that folks should definitely be documenting what they've done. Document your work and achievements and accomplishments. And yeah, you can do that in a way that does not like reveal trade secrets or what have you. There's definitely ways around that, and that's why I think it's important to have good guidance. So just in terms of what your experience was working with me, I know it obviously it's always good when there's a successful outcome, and so all's well that ends well. At the same time, do you I always wanted to approach immigration law by taking kind of a unique approach to each and every case, because I've seen other firms, and even when I've worked at different firms, I've always seen that there was a tendency that immigration law is always a volume business, right? And that we should have templates and try to just process cases kind of like that's kind of the model in a lot of areas. So maybe one of the reasons why so many are advised that they need to have publications or they need to go and get magazine, to talk about them, is because rather than trying to fit the law to the individual case, it seems like they're trying to fit the client's situation to their existing kind of already built narrative. And I think that causes a large percentage of people that would otherwise qualify for EB1A to fail. So I hope that we were able to kind of present that. And I know it can, to be honest with you, it can take a little bit more time for people when you do this uniquely tailored approach. But was that a difference maker in your mind?